Hello, lovelies. So this video is inspired by Robin, who asked a question based on the last video that Max and I did about the number one lesson in the universe, which is energetic reaching. And Robin asked this question. I'm going to read part of it to you because I feel that it's very relevant, whether you're in business or whether you're just, creating something in your life. This is relevant. So Robin asks, let me find the beginning of the question here. Okay, I would love to hear how to create balance between striving energy and allowing things to happen organically with regard to the creations we wish to bring into the world. Just going to skip some of that, and I believe this connects to the reaching video you did in some way. In a world where so many people are trying to draw attention to the work they do, when their attempts to get the word out about our businesses go from promoting from the heart, where you really wish for people to experience something wholesome and healthy, to a place of reaching and not allowing people to find us on their own. How much to advertise and how much to hang back, spend lots of money on advertising or rely on social media and organic local promotion with business cards. This is a spiritual conundrum that rolls around in my mind when I have no clients for a long period of time. Okay, so this is about more than business. This is, whether you're in business or, like I said, just simply creating something in your life. How do you know when to kind of like push, when to take that action, when to, make something happen versus when to kind of just, pull back a little bit and allow things to unfold organically? Well, this is something that I've been working on for a long time because I have been in business for over 13 years. Something I've been playing with for a long time. And, it's more than just about when to promote versus when to just, let word of mouth do the work. It's also about your presence, it's about knowing your rhythms, it's about your energy. And so we'll talk about a few of those things. So the first thing that I always come from a place of soul alignment. So whether it's something I'm creating in my business or something I'm creating in my life, what fulfills me the most is creating from my soul, creating from my heart. It's not, hey, I want this thing. Or I want this big house, or, something like that. That's not me. Those things don't necessarily fulfill me. So for me, it's about creating from my soul. What is real? What's sustainable? What's lasting? So starting there, that's where my creations start, is what does my soul want to express? What desires are flowing through my heart? That's where I personally start. And when you start from that place of clarity, then it's easier to know when to take action versus when to kind of hang back and allow things to unfold. So part of it is, when you're taking action, is it something that's inspired? Is it something that is coming from the depths of you? Or is it like, running on the hamster wheel, just doing something to do something? Now, I may be wired a little differently than most people. I love taking action. I'm really great at it. I like to be in motion. I like to be busy. So I'm really good at taking action. But that's not necessarily the best way to do it. When you're creating something, you want to take the actions that are aligned. You want to take the actions that are going to have the most impact, that are going to give you the highest ROI, return on your investment. If you're, again, this is not just a business conversation. This is whatever you're creating. So you want to take those actions that are really aligned for you at the soul level, because those are the actions that are going to be the most potent. They're going to have the most juice, the most energy in them, right? So when you're taking action, reflect on that, feel into that. If I take this action, is this action something that feels really good to the depths of my soul, or am I doing it out of obligation, or am I doing it just to do it, or am I doing it because the marketing guru said to do it, or am I doing it because my mentor or my life coach said to do it? Or am I doing it because I really, really want to do it? Yes, feel your passion to fulfill. And I can't see the rest. But those are the kind of actions that you want to take if you decide to take action. And you'll notice then that as you take that kind of action, it's going to be much more aligned, and you're not going to do the stuff that doesn't resonate with you. You're not going to do the stuff just to do it and, be in some kind of action mode. You're going to do it because it's aligned and it's going to have much greater benefit for your creations. So when to not take action, when to hold back, when to just wait and allow things to align. That, well, at least for me, that takes more practice, because it takes an awareness of yourself, your own energy, your rhythms, and again, your soul, what you're aligned to. So one of the things you can do is, if you're taking action and nothing's happening, it may be time just to kind of pull back a little bit, take a rest, do some self-care, go out into nature, and just enjoy yourself and allow all the other layers of things that are happening out there that we don't always see or know about, allow them to do their work, allow them to realign, and get yourself, solid in your foundation of self-care and self-love and rejuvenation. And then when it's time again to take the inspired action, that energy will be there, that flow will be even stronger because you've taken care of yourself. So that's kind of one of my indicators. Even if I'm inspired to take action, when I'm doing something and I'm taking action and nothing seems to be happening, then for me, it's time to pull back a little bit and just do some self-care and rest up and rejuvenate myself. Now, there's also a conversation we need to have about your rhythms, your physical body, your emotional body, because sometimes you're taking action and you're ignoring what your physical body is telling you. You're, pushing through when it's really time to rest. And so it's really helpful to know what times of the day do you do your best work? What times of the day is your energy the strongest? Is your flow the strongest? And understand that there are natural dips in your circadian rhythm and natural expansions and, energy peaks within your circadian rhythm. And so when you can understand and know yourself in that way, it's much easier to know when to move forward and when to just kind of rest and pull back. So, for example, some people work great in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and their flow is strong and they're buzzing, and that's when their best information comes through, and, that works for them. That's not the case for me. My time to get, really good, solid business work done, to work with clients, is in the morning. That's when I'm my best. And then in the afternoon, I like to often pull back from work a little bit and just chill out, rest, go into nature, whatever it is. And so it's important that you know your circadian rhythms. When do you get your best sleep? When do you do your best work? When are your flows the strongest? When is your energy at the highest peak? When does your body ask you for a little rest and rejuvenation? When you know those things, then it's easier to structure your day. It's easier to structure your clients if you're, in a business creation. It's just easier to figure out, how to move forward, when to take action, when to pull back a little bit. So you have those daily rhythms, and then sometimes you have the monthly rhythms. Some people are really aligned to the moon energies. If you're a woman, you will experience different things throughout the month with your monthly cycle. So all of those things to take into consideration when you're discerning, is this a time to move forward or is this a time to pull back? And then, if you're someone like me who's always engaged in your inner work and the shadow work, there are times where something comes to the surface for us to look at and to push forward with business or with other creations. just isn't the best use of energy. It's wiser to address the thing that's coming to the surface and get that taken care of rather than trying to push through with something else. And so if you're with me, please feel free to share this video. I think other people will benefit from this information as well. And thank you for being with me. Get to know yourself. Get to know, you know, that subconscious stuff that bubbles up. Learn how to work with that in the midst of working with your other creations. So I will say that I was having this conversation with a friend actually the other day, and there is value in making yourself show up even in the midst of deep emotional turmoil or shadow stuff coming to the surface. If you're someone that needs to learn how to be grounded and be consistent in showing up, there's a lot of spiritual bypass where people will just, well, that's not in my flow, so I'm not gonna do it. When in fact, what would be really helpful is to create some grounding and create some more solidity within and show up for something rather than, well, I'm not feeling so good, so I'm just gonna lay low today. It's not in my flow, you know. So there is that spiritual bypass that you want to look for, and to make sure that you are, yes, honoring yourself, but also not just brushing a commitment aside because you're not feeling well. So that takes some discerning on your part, and to be, you know, being honest with yourself to say, is this something that I need to show up for because I've committed to it? And I'm someone, I think what's worked really well for me is that I've always showed up for my commitments. There maybe have been a few times in the past 13 years where I've said, you know what, I just can't do it because what I'm going through is too overwhelming and I need to deal with that, and I just can't show up for what I've committed to. And I'm being honest, that's only happened a few times. And the value that has given me is this amazing, I've developed this muscle to, even if I'm in the depth of something emotional, I can still show up in full presence because I've created the muscle to do that. Over and over, I've shown up when I've said, I'm not feeling great, I'd rather not do this, but I've shown up anyway because I've committed to it. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And so, again, it's something you have to know for yourself, when to kind of push through and show up, and when to say, this is too much, I need to break my commitment for right now. So that's going to be up to you. I've shared what works for me because I've needed to develop a really strong integrity in myself with that. But not everyone is on that path. So that's up for your discernment. Okay, what else? We've talked about rhythms. We've talked about, the masculine and the feminine. Okay, so, you know, in my understanding, we're moving into this place of unity with the masculine and feminine, and, you know, eventually there, you know, maybe won't even be that distinction between sacred masculine energy and sacred feminine energy. But in the paradigm where we are now, there's still polarity and there's still those distinctions. So my understanding of the sacred feminine is that allowing the patience, the nurturing, the, you know, sometimes the mothering energy, and the aspect of the sacred masculine is the focus, sometimes the linearity, the drive, the motivation. And I've had mostly the masculine energy in my life, so I had to learn how to develop the feminine. Knowing these two polarities and integrating these two polarities in your life, again, whether it's a business creation or a personal creation, is really valuable, because you can start to discern when it is that you want to be more in your feminine creative power or your masculine creative power. Again, knowing when to take that inspired action and really go for something and make it happen, or when to, you know, open up the container of the sacred feminine and allow the creation to flow in, so that, and allow yourself to receive the creation. And so those are two things that you'll want to explore and work with for yourself. Is it time right now for me to be more in my feminine energy, or is it time for me to be more in my masculine energy and to move forward and take some action here? So those are two things, the polarity of the masculine and feminine, that you'll want to address as you're asking yourself this question. Is it time to move forward or time to just kind of hang back a little bit? And to see and discern what it is for you in that moment. And it's going to be different. It's not necessarily something that you're going to be able to predict. And that's why it's so important to get to know yourself and get to know who you are, get to know your rhythms, get to know your soul and what you're creating from your soul and what you're creating from your heart versus ego creations. And again, there's nothing wrong with ego creations, but understanding what kind of creation you're bringing forth so that you can know when to take action and when to pull back. So I haven't seen any questions so far. If you guys have questions about this, please definitely post those in the comments. And if you ask the questions after this video is done, that's fine too. I'll come back and look at the comments. But do you have questions about what I've shared so far? Do you have questions about your creations and when to move forward and when to pull back? If you haven't watched the beginning of this video, then you might have missed some information, but you can definitely go back and watch it from the beginning when we're done here. So while I'm waiting to see if any questions pop up, I'll just share with you that one of the things that I'm creating is the Codes of Creation retreat here in Sedona, November 8th through the 11th. We're going to have an amazing, talk about alignments, right? The alignment of the 1111 portal. We're going to be taking advantage of that time period. And that alignment, isn't just for November 11th. It's also for, the few days before and after when that alignment will be really strong. And for me, the 1111 is a powerful and potent time for creating. So whether you attend the retreat or not, keep in mind that you can take advantage of those energies and alignments. And speaking of that, now this isn't something that I really get into for myself, but I know a lot of people find it helpful. You can take advantage of the alignments, the planetary alignments and the solar system alignments. A lot of people really find a lot of benefit from knowing, what planetary alignments are happening and what phase the moon is in and, all those sorts of things, so that you can work with those energies. And sometimes those energies are such that they really, move you forward, and sometimes they're such that, they have you be a little bit more quiet. Ooh, good question, Cordell. Can you explain the difference between heart and soul? Okay. Now, to be fair, everyone's going to have a different definition and everyone's going to have a different interpretation. So I'll share mine, knowing that it may be very different from somebody else. So for me, the soul was that eternal part of me. It's the part that never dies. It's the part that has always been. It's eternal. The heart is the part of me that is relevant for this incarnation. It's a physical part of me, it's also an emotional part of me, and it's the gateway to my soul. It's the pathway to my soul. It is the part through which the information from my soul can flow into my conscious awareness. It's the part that has me discern at a feeling level. The heart is the part of me that has me be more expansive and open and deeply feeling. The heart allows me to feel and discern along with my intuition, but the heart is really valuable for that. So the heart and soul in my mind are connected in that way. The heart is a connection to the soul because, again, it's that feeling discernment of what the soul wants to express, and it is the portal through which I can access the information from my soul. Does that help, Cordell? If you could give me a yes or a no, if that explanation was helpful for you. That's a great question. I really, really love that. Does anyone else have any questions? Let me know. Ultimately, in this discernment between when to move forward and when to kind of pull back and slow down, knowing yourself. That's the bottom line. Know yourself. Know your rhythms. Know what you want to create. Know the desires of your heart and of your soul. And constantly feel into that. Feel into, is it relevant for me to move forward right now? Do I need to pull back and allow the alignments to happen? You know, recently I was in, well, recently meaning like yesterday, I was in this space where I just needed to allow. No action I was taking was yielding any results. No, like I could feel the energy. It was just like nothing was happening regardless of any action I would take. And so it was a time for me to just pull back, to deal with some of the shadow aspects that had come to the surface for me to deal with, to do my inner work, to cry it out, you know, all those things. And so it was a day where there wasn't a lot of action for my business. It was just, okay, be with what's happening now. And I could also feel, because I have practiced this, I could also feel that realignment happening. There's something happening for me, and I believe for the collective also, this great realignment, especially since the solstice. And so I just needed to allow that and give it time, you know, because we are in this density and time is different than, you know, perhaps if you're in a higher frequency dimension. Things take time here on planet Earth. Things take time to unfold. And so to allow that time to pass, allow the time it takes for the alignments to happen for you, and to contribute to the alignments by being in your presence, by contributing to your flow, by taking care of yourself, by being with your energy. All of those things will contribute to the flow and help and assist the alignments to come together for you. I will say this one last thing before we part ways. In the early days in my business, when I was, you know, taking all this action and things would start to move and it would be awesome. And then what would happen was I would make this quantum leap in my personal growth and my spiritual growth. And because my business and my inner growth are one and the same and they're all tied together, what would happen was then everything in my business would just kind of stop. And it was so frustrating because I'd done all this work, I'd taken all this action, and then things would just kind of come to a standstill. And I'd be like, what is going on? Why does this keep happening? And I finally understood that what was happening when everything stopped was everything was realigning. And I needed to give it the time to realign, and I needed to learn patience. I needed to learn how to be in my divine feminine energy because I had done the divine masculine energy and taken the inspired action. And then in the times where things needed to realign, I needed to just kind of sit back and allow that to happen. And so that's what was happening yesterday, was I just needed to sit back and allow the realignment. And so again, that takes knowing yourself, and that takes kind of, you know, being able to tune into the energies and feel, okay, is this a time where everything is just realigning for me, or is this a time where I just kind of need to push through and give it a little extra effort right now? And that's not necessarily something someone else can tell you. That's something that you're going to have to develop for yourself, a muscle that you'll have to develop for yourself. So sorry if that's frustrating, but or, you know, you could always hire an astrologist and see where things are all lined up for you if you're into that sort of thing. Again, that doesn't really resonate with me, but I know it does with a lot of you. So if that's a useful tool, go ahead and use it. All right, lots of love to you. Thanks again for being with me today. And again, if you'd like to join us for our retreat in November, come on out to Sedona, experience the amazing energy here. And we're going to, again, use that 1111 portal to really fuel your creations, whatever they are, whether they're for business or personal or for the collective. Maybe they're not even for you personally. Maybe they're just for planet Earth. Come on out and get those codes of creation to fuel what you're putting out there into the world. Lots of love to you guys. I appreciate you being in my community. I appreciate all the love and the hearts that you've been sending over the screen. It means a lot to my heart. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Much love. Mwah.